Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. So I have a huge spread of cards for Scorpio. Your energy was super insistent. Basically, it's been a couple of hours since I finished Libra's reading. I'm sorry about the background noise. It's a heat wave. It's hot. I have to have the window open. So yeah, a couple of hours after Libra's reading, and it was like Scorpio is insistently coming in wanting their reading done. So Scorpio, you're here. You seem to be the parent of Libra, which is interesting because my mum was a Scorpio. So do take it as it resonates and leave it if it doesn't. But it's like Scorpio is coming in as this kind of high priestess energy. So of course, always flip and reverse it if needs be, because it's very much talking about, although there's different characters in this reading, it's very much talking about being your own parent, like parenting yourself. So just, you know, it's a collective message. Take what fits and leave anything else because it's for somebody else. So really strongly getting Once Upon a Dream by Lana Del Rey. So this is the Maleficent version. So the original Once Upon a Dream is Sleeping Beauty, right? And she meets the handsome prince and she's like, I feel like you're my soulmate. I met you once upon a dream. She's all kind of love struck. So that's coming through almost like the Libra energy for me, perhaps. It doesn't have to be Libra, it's just because it's back to back on Libra's reading and there's a bit of a crossover. And then of course Maleficent, she has quite a in the movies she has quite a parental role to the young, I want to call her Aurora. Is that her name? Interesting with Aurora. What is Aurora? What is that referring to? Is that like the dawn, like Aurora Borealis? Aurora. Meaning. I know, it's interesting. It's like of the sky, right? Aurora meaning. The dawn, yeah. Okay, it's interesting that it's the dawn considering what else I've got. So yeah, so she's if this isn't literally a child, but there's a lot of parent-child energy in this reading, it could be, again, like parenting yourself, your own inner child, or it could also be something to do with like hope, right? The new dawn symbolizing like hope for the future, and even like love and romance, because Libra had this thing about the morning star, which was rising and falling, right? But it's the first star that you see like, or the last star that you see in the morning and the first star that you see at night. So it's like it's there to kiss you when you wake up and to wish you a good night's sleep, is the way it's kind of coming through. For you, you're coming in with a little bit of doom. Now, more or less after I finished Libra's reading, I ended up listening to the West Side Story soundtrack. I think completely by chance. I think as I was uploading Libra's reading, I've been watching Six the musical, so naturally it's suggesting other musicals to me. When I was a little girl, when I was a little girl, I had a puppy. So that's coming through now. Yeah, when I was a little girl, it's coming through Gwen Stefani as well. What's that other song? When I was a little girl, I asked Santa Claus, like, who. I don't know. If it resonates for you, take it. If it doesn't, leave it. But again, when I was a little girl, I got really obsessed with the West Side Story soundtrack, and the movie itself. But the soundtrack, I listened to it on repeat. Like my daughter listens to Six on repeat. And I've always, again, you can hear my son giggling in the background. He's on the VR. Being a sucker for a love story, right? Things like Romeo and Juliet and Moulin Rouge, West Side Story, they really hit my heartstrings. You know, to have that kind of like beautiful romance and then the absolute tragedy of the tragic ending, right? Really pushes my buttons. So you seem to be getting a lot of these references. Again, somebody could be Libra Scorpio cusp. It could be everybody witnessing something through different lenses. The Storytime readings kind of always talk to each other like this. So without me realizing, so the Libra reading had morning star, right? Like they are the morning star, being a word for the planet Venus, and Venus rules Libra. And then I was listening to West Side Story, and I was just listening to the soundtrack, and there's a it's called like Something's Coming or something is the name of the track, and it's like an amalgamation of the different songs where like they're preparing for that night, and they actually say tonight there will be no morning star, and it's kind of this, I don't really understand the reference in terms of it not being a premonition, right? Because the premonition is like there will be no morning star, there will be no sunrise, right, for these lovers, because tragically it's one of them dies. So I was shocked that it said morning star, because it's such a specific reference, and for it to have come out in Libra's reading and now for it to be filtering into your reading is so interesting to me. And then that song, the words endless night was coming out to me. So of course endless night is like perpetual sleep. It's a word for death, right? An analogy for death. But I was like, endless night is something, I know that phrase, and it's a book by Miss Marple. I think it might be the first Miss Marple book. It's one of the very early ones from the 20s. I've got it, I've read it a few times. So there could be something in that story for somebody. There's a very tricky character in that story, let's just say that. So you may be doing a little bit of Miss Marpling, you may be checking somebody out. I do have this like a mother checking out a potential suitor energy, or trying to protect a child from this kind of like this very heartfelt kind of fated kind of romance, or like these romantic feelings. So like you would see, is it Anita protecting Maria in West Side Story? That kind of maternal figure who's older and wiser. So again, you could be like a big sister, or even like a father, whatever. You're coming through this protective energy, and it could be again protecting your own inner child, because you've been hurt in the past, right? Because people have took advantage in the past, because you've suffered heartache in the past. So it seems to be like Maleficent, right? Because she was treated so badly by, was it King Stephen? She became very icy, right? And she became very protective of the young Aurora. So I'm not saying that this is going to be an ill-fated romance, but I'm saying that somebody's trying to protect someone from that, right? Someone's trying to protect somebody from having the heart broken. It could be your own inner child. So I was also getting ill met by moonlight, proud Titania, which is what Oberon says to Titania when they meet in A Midsummer Night Dream. Now these are fairies, and they are not like friendly fairies, they're kind of more like goblin type fairies, and they are the king and queen of the fairies, and they are a married couple, and they are at war, right? They are at odds with each other. So that could also be significant. Maybe somebody has had a very difficult divorce where it's been like a war zone, or they're in a relationship, in a marriage where there's some conflict over a child. Now in A Midsummer Night's Dream, the reason why they've fallen out so badly is because Titania has adopted a child of somebody that a friend of hers that she loved very much. So she's adopted this boy, but Oberon wants the child to be part of his royal courts, so they're fighting basically over this child, and it's irreconcilable. They reconcile at the end of the movie, but I don't know. So then I was coming to, again, Once Upon a Dream. I kept getting, if I know you, I'll know what you'll do. So it's like knowing somebody really well. And again, this could be like a partner, right? Or a child, like knowing someone so well that you know what they'll do in a certain situation. Or you have a high probability of knowing what they're going to do. Like you're able to predict their behavior because you're so familiar with it. And I don't know if they're going to do something good or bad, right? Can't Fight the Moonlight by LeAnn Rimes, and Jessie's Girl by Rick Springfield. So Jessie's Girl, this motif has come through quite a few times in the last week, of somebody really, really being very, very physically attracted to somebody, right? Wanting to touch this person's body. It came out in Libra's reading a bit, it's come out in some of the other readings, but it's like this person belongs to someone else, so they can't have them, and it's driving them crazy. It's like in their head they're thinking about everything that they could be doing together. So it came through for, it could have been, I feel like it was before Virgo, it could have been like Leo or Cancer, they had this thing about, again, like people splitting up and one of the people moving on, and it driving the other person crazy, because it's like imagining what the new couple are doing together. So take it as it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. So let's get into your reading. So you've got a lot of stuff about children. So magnetism, attraction. It's like this child sat on this bed, and it's like, I don't know if perhaps, Scorpio, you had, Capricorns had this before. I'm familiar with this kind of story. I don't know if you had some kind of prophetic gifts as a child. I don't know if you could kind of predict what was coming in, or maybe even as a small child you understood the law of attraction, right? And you had this magnetic personality, and magnetic personality is a very, very Scorpio trait, right? So it's like you could attract whatever you wanted to you. So this could have been troublesome for your parents, perhaps, because it's coming through with this intervention. Now it's interesting because I feel Virgo had intervention, where it feels like, and maybe there is some kind of religious group or sisterhood or priestesshood or something that it could be your own mother was part of. Maybe your mother was a witch in some sort of way, right? It's like they also understood, it feels like a witch family. So again, I'm not saying that you're from a family of witches. I'm saying this is kind of what is being shown in the reading today. So take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. It's not for everybody. Scorpio is very witchy, high priestessy energy, right? So even though I'm using the word witch, yeah, exactly. Sorry, I was talking to my guides. So in Libra's reading yesterday, there was this thing about, okay, they keep giving it me really insistently. In Libra's reading yesterday, they had the line from the Alleluia song, and it was, there's a blaze of light in every word. It doesn't matter what you heard, the holy or the broken, alleluia, right? It's like words mean different things to different people. Now you're very Shakespearean, because it's coming in with a rose by any other name would smell as sweet, which again ties into Libra's reading, because Libra had a line from Romeo and Juliet, which is like, I defy you stars, right? I got full goosebumps. It's so funny because as I was getting that, there was a helicopter above, and I was like, you're really confirming that scene for me right now. And maybe somebody's just studying Shakespeare, right? Maybe somebody like me really loves kind of, those kind of plays like Romeo and Juliet, Moulin Rouge. It's a love-hate relationship, right? Because you're so wrapped up in the romance of it. And then the destruction of that love is, to me, the worst possible thing. It really is like so traumatic. I remember watching Othello, which, slightly different vibe, but I remember watching Othello in the theatre, and it was the RSC production with I can't remember any of the characters' names, but it was like it was just a beautiful production. Like the artist playing Desdemona, Othello, and Iago played it so beautifully, and it was so tragic. And Desdemona, like Libra's reading, which was this really stubborn kind of love, like this really determined kind of love. She forgives Othello at the end, even when he's doing the worst thing, right? So is so tragic. The destruction of Desdemona, who is so pure, right? Who is so authentic, who truly loves him, and Othello's madness that makes him unable to see that, right? It clouds his judgment in that moment, and he destroys the thing that he loves the most, or who loves him the most. He's like, it destroys it's coming through as the one good thing in his life. And it's really tying into kind of like in Libra's reading, they had this Jane Seymour character who was like the one that truly loved him, right? And the one who he truly loved. Yeah. So I don't know if this is like somebody perhaps who lost a partner through natural causes, or perhaps somebody who lost a partner, maybe by their own hand, which is, this kind of Bill Sykes, Nancy kind of horrificness. But it's almost as though, maybe this is just somebody studying Shakespeare, but it's almost like having a child's chart read, or seeing it, getting the child's birth chart done and seeing that they have this kind of ill-fated romance ahead of them, this divine romance, and then this terrible tragedy straight after. So it's like this connection was blocked, right? So it's coming through again, like this could be your child or it could be you, Scorpio. It's like they were doing what came very naturally to them, right? They were following their fate. And it's like this team of sorceresses, or again, it could just be the women in the family, right, coming together to block a connection, because it's almost like it's being like repelled, right? So if you look here, it's like they're doing energy work to repel it. Whatever was coming in, they've repelled it, and now it's kind of like, do you see, it's like it's moved further away, you know, it's gone smaller, it's been sent away. So again, it could be, you know, it feels very old-fashioned. I don't know if people are like this anymore, perhaps in certain cultures, you know, being fated to having a strong connection to somebody who's like a soulmate, right? From a very young age, and this connection being blocked is like, you know, the family blocked this connection, like Romeo and Juliet, right? My tummy rumbled a little bit there. I'm sorry if you heard it. And it seems like perhaps you or this child, Scorpio, had a very different fate, a very different destiny that, you know, was a family tradition, or that was, you know, in mind for you. So it could be that you were joining the army or something, like, or it could be that you had to train to during this priestesshood or something like this, because you've got warrior twice, you've got warrior woman and luminous warrior. So it's like you had to be, it's like this group had a different path in mind for you. So have you answered your deepest calling? So it does have a bit of a Wonder Woman quality to it as well. If you've seen the kind of the Wonder Woman movies that came out quite recently, and how she's part of this very female tribe, right, who are a tribe of warrior women, and she does indeed get her heart broken, right? So she has to kind of go away and kind of continue with this kind of warrior woman mentality and kind of get a bit tough. So but again, they kind of meet again, don't they? Diana and it's interesting because Artemis was coming through in Libra's reading, and that is Diana, right? So maybe somebody's called Diana. Maybe it's a reference to Princess Diana. I don't know. Maybe somebody's life is mirroring Princess Diana's life, because again, like, if you look at the house, right, the royal house, you know, it's said that Charles really loved Camilla, like, from childhood. Like, they were soulmates, they were fated to be together, and yet the royal court kind of said that she wasn't appropriate, and she encouraged him to marry Diana, which turned out really badly for the pair of them, right? They were not a match. So he's now back with Camilla, who was, you know, who he loved all along. So it has that kind of quality to it, like family intervention to say this person's not suitable for you. Again, it could be like religious matters, or, you know, warring families. You know, if you look at West Side Story, you know, they're two different backgrounds, two different cultures. So whatever happened when this thing that was coming in was repelled or sent away by the protecting this child, right? The protective group. They are, especially if this seems like it's an ill-fated destiny. It's like they're trying to protect the child, right? So they send it away, maybe even delaying it. But it leaves this child, the root girl, the disowned self, it leaves them feeling stunted, and it leaves them feeling abandoned. So strong abandonment issues coming through here. So this could be something that you're dealing with yourself, Scorpio, or something that's a child around you has been affected by. But it's like, yeah, like, because the root girl to me, everybody's soul is like a tree, right? An energetic tree. And we stretch our soul down into the root system, which talks about stretching into our past. And also grounding ourselves and finding stability and strength, you know, being strong in those winds. And yet, like, the branches grow up into the sky and stretch up to the stars, which indicate our potential, our future, our growth. So it is tying in with Libra's reading, because again, they have this thing about being the oak, being they are coming through this like solid, dependable, kind of determined love, like standing their ground is the way it's coming through. And Libra also had this thing about their growth being stunted, but because they are adaptable, they could, you know, if you think about how trees and plants grow, they grow around obstacles. So I do feel like, despite the best efforts of this group to repel this energy for the root girl's best interests, they could have found a way around this. They could have found a way to still contact this soulmate, or still energetically reach out to this energy. And yet the impact it had, perhaps at a very young age, was to make this child feel abandoned and disowned and stunted. So again, it's like it was good intentions. It was to protect the child, and yet there's a stagnancy there. So then it's coming through with this magic prayer, and it really is coming through with, again, perhaps because of some innate spiritual gifts, you know, the mother, the grandmother, the sisters, the aunts, the females in this family perhaps have, or the matriarchal line perhaps has this spiritual ability, perhaps this very unique connection to, you know, their own god or gods or guides. So it's like, even though this has been perhaps, it's almost like maybe like Harry Potter, right? You know, he has this innate ability, but he's taken into the Muggle world to protect him, and yet his gifts start to show naturally. So it's like there's an innate ability here, and so as this child is abandoned and starts to self-soothe because they can't connect to whatever that energy was that they were attracting, they kind of naturally know how to pray. They naturally know how to contact those higher energies. So it's like they call it in, and it feels like a prayer from the heart. It feels like I've had this myself, where it actually activated me. Oh, my tummy's really rumbling. I'm so sorry if you can hear that. I may have to just grab something to eat quickly. I was going through a really dark time. Again, I went through a dark night of the soul. I went through a really difficult period of my life where I felt like I felt really hopeless. And I didn't know what to do about my situation. And I remember feeling very desperate and really, really praying, really like on the floor next to the bed, praying for help. And I had an activation, I had a spiritual awakening. My guides responded. So again, it's like naturally knowing what to do, perhaps in a time when you felt very, very abandoned and you felt very in a time of despair. So this magic prayer, because it was so heartfelt and it was so earnest, perhaps, you know, it was heard. So you do seem to be some kind of spiritual warrior, or coming out of something, fighting, right? Standing up for yourself, perhaps, and also kind of fighting your own shadow. And again, this could be you or this child, so do take it as it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. It's like, you know, your truth. This is talking to me, again, this very Libran energy of like, this is the sword of St. Michael to me. It's the sword of truth. It's the Ace of Swords in the tarot. And with it being upright, it's speaking a truth. Wearing your truth like a shield, wearing your truth like armor. And it's very, with it being pink, it's from the heart, right? It's a soul truth, or a soul, like soul star chakra kind of truth. Again, because it's the destiny perhaps to love or to make this connection. And it feels like somebody really comes out knowing their path. Like it's coming through with these cards, it's coming through, oopsie daisy, almost like a compass point, right? Almost like some kind of spiritual truth perhaps, or some kind of understanding. And then it's like getting up off that floor and knowing what to do, and being very, very firmly planted. If this is Libra or your Libra cusp, very, very firmly planted. Like those roots went down. Like it's like, yeah, okay, so you didn't go up, you went down, and it caused you to be extremely stable, is the way it's coming through. So yeah, it feels like having a purpose, having a path, having a destiny, seeing the way. Now, for some of you, this could be your North Node. So your North Node is kind of like your fate, your destiny, what you need to move towards. So do check out what your North Node is. Some of you may have North Node Scorpio. Some of you may have North Node Libra, which could be why it's coming through this way. warrior woman and the luminous warrior. So the luminous warrior does the shadow work. They've really been into the depths of their subconscious. They've explored their past, they've explored their roots, they've explored their history, they've explored their the environment that they grew up in, the relationship with their parents, their family, their friends, oh my goodness, their teachers perhaps. And they come out fighting. They come out glorious, not in a way that is like negative in any way. It's a spiritual, again, like having that awakening and coming out of it very, very spiritually ascended. And then the fortune's wheel is like, this literally changes your life. If you felt like you were in a negative cycle at this point, you've changed that. You have changed the fortune's wheel. It's like this new phase coming in is very much in your favor. So because you're so high vibrational, right? And yet you're still carrying forward some pain. Now you do seem very able, or this child seems very able, or this inner child seems very, very capable of self-soothing. Now I was an only child. I dealt with a few abandonment issues. My dad moved out when I was about probably younger than 6. I think we moved when I was 6, so my mum and dad were already split up then. So I do have some abandonment issues myself, which is why I can quite easily understand this energy. And I was an only child, so I didn't have siblings, and I was on my own quite a lot, so I did learn to self-soothe, right? This is something that a lot of people can do. Other people are, again, because of their environment, they're more they reach out to people more, right? They need those, perhaps if you're part of a big family, you may or I don't know, you could have been a big part of a big family with lots of siblings and didn't get enough attention, so you taught to self-soothe. But if you had a supportive environment, or you had a lot of people to reach out to, you could naturally reach out. But this is talking about somebody who's self-soothes, right? Because they had to. It's talking about, yes, you're moving forward, but you're still carrying a sense of pain, a sense of rejection, a sense of dealing with those abandonment wounds, but still you have your heart in your hand, right? The beloved to me is talking about your own heart, your own self. So it could be talking about a connection as well. I'm actually going to read that card in a moment. And with education, it could be learning about yourself, learning about yourself as a child, learning more about your past, learning more. Again, a lot of the time, I've been talking about witness consciousness and ninth chakra. So if you want to look at your soul star chakra, witness consciousness, and healthy dissociation, when we are in the moment, right? So you're a child, something traumatic's happening, a loss of a friend, perhaps a loss of a parent, the loss of a soulmate. It could even be an animal, right? But that connection being lost, and it meaning a lot to you, and feeling this abandonment, right? So having this trauma, and it can be trauma in different ways as well. When we're a child, our emotional toolbox, our understanding of the world can be very, very, very limited, right? We've only been on the earth a number of years, so we don't have a very big experience. We don't have a big picture of the world. We only have our little tiny nuggets of life to understand that complex world in. So something could feel very traumatic and be understood a certain way when you're a child actually experiencing it. But as you get older, and as that toolbox of life grows, right, as your ability to understand lots of different situations in a very mature and adult way, or your ability to perhaps walk in your parents' shoes yourself, or to understand more complex situations, and to have a much, much bigger picture or broader view of existence on this planet. With that higher knowledge and that bigger toolbox, when you go back into the past, into that situation, in witness consciousness, right, with a bird's eye view of the situation, you can really understand it very, very differently, because you've gone from viewing the situation like this to viewing the situation like this, right? So obviously that's something that you may want to work with a therapist with, or you may find, people have different approaches to doing this kind of regression work. So whatever works for you, and obviously do it when it's right for you and when it feels like a healthy time to do it. in a way that a way that feels safe as well. But again, with education, it could be that you've gone into education, right? You could be some kind of counselor, like a children's counselor, like you're teaching other people how to survive trauma or survive abandonment or become stronger, become that luminous warrior themselves, right? To find that heart and soul connection to the divine. So all these different things that you could be doing as the education and priestess as well. So you may be, I don't know, some kind of you may be connected to religion in some sort of way. You may be a priest or a I don't know, like a vicar or something like that. So you know, a Sunday school teacher even. But you are carrying the weight of this pain, and I think because you're carrying the weight of this pain, you're trying to protect the next generation or your younger siblings or your own children or even yourself, right? Even the inner child from experiencing more of this pain. I'm going to read this beloved card. The essence. Beloved is the recognition of spirit in another and moving towards spirit through the other. It is when the divine appears to us in the form of our child, our partner, our friend, and we experience being in love. As we grow, we start to recognize the beloved in everyone, not confusing their personality with divine nature. So Libra had this, and it was coming through this ability to love unconditionally, right? Even though, you know, your child might be having a temper tantrum and throwing things and being, or your partner may be having a really stressful period where they're really acting in low vibrational energy. And of course, I don't recommend people stay in toxic relationships. Libra's reading was coming through as a very firm, very mature, very patient, very strong energy. This was not a weak character in any sort of way. So, you know, they were coming through like this. They had their defenses up. So, you know, it was this. I have chosen to root myself here. Lol. I've chosen to defend my position here. I have chosen this. Was the way Libra was coming through, which is very mature. To choose something that's difficult, you know. So, and again, I really want to say, don't stay in toxic relationships if it's low vibrational energy. If you are. And again, abuse survivors and people like, you know, people see these people as weak, but they're so incredibly strong because not everybody can tolerate that kind of BS, right? So I don't know. It's going to play into everybody's reading differently. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But please protect yourself. If you're in a toxic relationship, you know, even if that is your soulmate, you know, sometimes you need to take a step back so that they get that bigger picture, right? So that they can do that healing. Sometimes if the proximity is detrimental to both of you. So sometimes the separation period can actually be, can actually let two people separate, heal and grow, and come back in a more high vibrational energy. So just stuff to bear in mind, right? But this thing about recognizing the soul of another, right? Recognizing the core of another. It could be that you and a friend even, you and, you know, a soul tribe sister who is, who you recognize that pain in somebody else, right? It's like, I've got abandonment issues, I recognize it in you. I had this with my Pisces friend in work, where we kind of, when we first met, we kind of did some trauma bonding. So love you if you're watching. I don't think you should watch his Scorpio readings, but love you. So there was this thing in Libra's reading about, it was coming through the sacrifice, and it really rankles with me, the word sacrifice, but the image is this woman who's holding a butterfly, and it's like there's something breaking off the butterfly, so it's like she's seeing the soul of a person. So this could be some innate ability that you have, Scorpio, to see the person's soul like this, right? She's like seeing the soul, which is coming through here. I'm going to come back to that. But that was also in Libra's reading. So it's like you see the purity of this person, or you see the divine in everybody, perhaps. Or again, this could be Libra doing this to you. Doesn't have to be Libra, right? We're a full chart, right? We're 12 houses, each is ruled by a different zodiac sign. Planets move around the houses. We're affected by all the energies all the time. Just sometimes one is more prominent and strong than another. So the invitation, accept the invitation to learn through the path of love. Expand your being with union with another. When you recognize the beloved in another, you call forth their highest and purest nature, which is crazy because it's followed by purification, right? Follow the path of love. So it's the healing ability of love through this kind of high priestess energy. Maybe it could be that you're some kind of energy healer. Libra had starseed twice in their reading. This could be like somebody who works with, what is it when you work with energy? My neighbour a couple of doors down does it. Oh, I can't think it's what it's called. I'm just hearing Tantra. Tantra, maybe some of you, it's like tantric stuff. I don't know, healing through, you know, tantric sexual relationships could be very beneficial to you. I don't know, different strokes for different folks. I can't think of what it's called now. I feel like I need to go and knock on and ask her. But it's like healing energy, right? A practitioner of this, perhaps. The medicine, be careful with romantic love, the kind of love you fall in and out of. Own all your projections you have placed upon the person you are dreaming of. Once upon a dream, right? Remember that they are only mirroring back your own deep longings rather than revealing their true selves. If you fail to notice this, be prepared to walk through fire of strong emotions once again. And this seems to be the concern, right? Of being deceived or being taken advantage of or being hurt by somebody who is, you know, maybe you've got like Pisces in your chart as well, like this nature to Libra and Pisces again, both like this. The romanticized, right? The rose-tinted glasses, the seeing the best of someone, and then being really hurt and disappointed when they don't live up to that high ideal. Virgo as well. Virgo had a bit of this in their reading. You know, maybe placing somebody on a pedestal and dreaming about them and fantasizing about them, and you know, maybe they do. Maybe you can see their pure soul, right? Because everybody has a pure soul, I believe. The soul is pure. It just becomes... stuff gets stuck to it, right? Like the junk of human existence. We pick up stuff, right? And it clings to it, and it not distills, but pollutes the soul. But the actual soul, if you strip everything back, which is what was happening at the start of Libra's reading with this woman holding this butterfly, the soul is pure, right? And having a strong faith with that. It could be that you work with children as well, and because this Meerkat card, like with the priestess and the education and the beloved and the Meerkat, it's almost like it's like this is your job in a way, Scorpio, where, you know, it's like you're busy at work kind of showing people who they are, right? So it's like these people come to you not truly knowing who they are, and you show them their true character. That seems to be your unique gift in a way. You know, so and then it seems like you're getting distracted, right? It seems like you're getting distracted because perhaps this thing is coming back around for you. It's coming back in, you know, because... And again, you could be like a nun or have joined some kind of priesthood. You know how people choose religion? It's so funny because that was in Libra's reading as well. It was somebody who was like, it would be nice if I could touch your body, but I've got to have faith, right? So it was almost somebody who was like, I can't have the relationship. You know, like Fleabag as well. If you know the hot priest from Fleabag, so it's like I've got to deny this, and perhaps that's what the sacrifice was in Libra's reading as well. It's like I have to deny myself this. This soulmate connection, this romantic connection, this sexual connection, but it's causing somebody to have stunted growth because they're not having all the experiences that the soul needs to grow, right? So it's like this opportunity perhaps is coming back around to have this, to hold this, to have and hold perhaps. But there seems to be a big warning about not getting distracted from your responsibilities, right? Your deepest calling. So it's like, yes, it's romantic. Yes, it could be like a whirlwind romance. Yes, it could be what your soul needs to grow. But don't forget who you are, right? Don't forget who you... They're giving me like Dark Horse by Katy Perry. Don't forget that you're also on a pedestal, right? This person is not above you. This person is not... some kind of star coming into your life, unless you are also a star, right? If this is a true soulmate, they're your equivalent. So the child within as well. So here, inner mother, innocence, gentleness, tenderness, going into purification. So I do feel like you've done some work in terms of healing that pain, healing those abandonment issues, understanding that anything you desire is just a projection of something that you need to heal within the self. So you could have done this work, which could mean that you are in a better position to meet with the soulmate energy. You know, it kind of that thing about separate so you can come back together. Again, this could be twin flame. That is a very twin flame to do. Like the first few connections are quite toxic because both have healing work to do, so they have to separate. They have to one tends to reject the other. There's a separation period where people, they go away, they spiritually ascend, and then if they're very lucky and they've worked very hard, you know, and both are equally high vibrational, they can come back in together in union. But again, it doesn't always happen. It can take years. Sometimes you just have to abandon it. You have to say not in this lifetime, right? But it's so funny because you've got like the root girl, you know, the child within, the child. So really almost like, again, it has this parent-child relationship of you know, the ascended master perhaps, and then the child who's learning to do this. It's kind of making me think of Prey as well, if anyone's watched Prey, you know, the brother and sister. So again, it could be like many moons have passed, right? There could be a long period of time that this has taken to really purify the inner child, is the way it's coming through beautifully. And I always say there's a difference between innocence and purity, right? There's a difference between somebody who doesn't know, you know, the child who isn't aware of what's happening, is not aware of the choices that they're making, and somebody who is hurt and damaged and yet still somehow remains to hold on to that innocence and hold on to that purity, and you know, go into new relationships with the heart wide open. There's not many people who can do that because the pain causes us to close that part of ourselves off. So it does feel like you've healed something from some kind of abandonment wound or rejection. There seems to be some stability here with the Ten of Earth. It could be something about work. It could be that you are very comfortable, you're financially well off. This could also talk about a shared, like a shared home. Normally the Ten of Earth is wealth shared with other people. I don't know why it's here, but it is. And then we seem to go into the fall. So there was this warning with the beloved card about being very careful with projecting onto another, right? Being very aware of wearing those rose tinted glasses, because now we have the devil. So the dust devil, moving out of stagnation. Now this card mainly means moving out of stagnation, right? Something being stirred up. Again, it could be these romantic feelings. It could be you know, your life is having a bit of a stir up, you know, a new phase is coming in, which is what the Fortune's wheel says. It's interesting, like the heart is kind of shining as well there. So it does seem that although the growth was stunted here, it does seem like there's an opportunity to move out of that stagnation and into a growth period. And again, sometimes we have to learn difficult lessons in order to grow. So you may experience some pain. This may not turn out how you want it to, but your soul will grow. And you should hopefully be in a better position to if you're doing this dance again, right, you're not doing it from a place where you are the injured child. You're doing this from a place where you are the pure, authentic warrior child who's very, very strong. So if this person's also joining you in that energy, the relationship could be very, very different. North is really talking to me again about facing your true north, facing your destiny. Maybe check out what your north node is. And again, there's this thing about like solitude, being abandoned perhaps on an island and waiting for this connection to come back in again, because it kind of has this feeling with the imagery. I'm sorry, it's really reflective. If it's a little bit dark today, I have had to shut my curtains just to keep the sun out, because again, super hot in the UK at the moment. So it's like this is coming back down, right? It could be planets coming back around, right? You know, something aligning in your birth chart. It's like this thing that was all coming in at this early age is coming back in, and it seems to be touching down, right? It seems to be actually coming to earth this time. And then we have, this is where it gets a little bit concerning, right? Falling angel, spiritual narcolepsy. So this, to me, Scorpio, is just saying, remember who you are. Remember you are this high priestess. You know, remember your spiritual growth. Remember that you are this luminous warrior. make sure you keep practicing any kind of wellness or spiritual practices that you have. Don't abandon them. Don't get so caught up in this romance or this relationship that you forget all the lessons that you've learned to this point. But there's also a safety net, because it says if you turn into this fallen angel, right, then spirit will be here to catch you, and spirit will be here to redirect you. It's coming through this loyal spirit, right? Or again, it could be ancestors or something like this. It's like it's just got this energy of like catching you and taking you as you fall, right? It's there's a rescue here. So it feels like safety net energy, spiritual safety net, if you will. Cancer also had this card, so maybe check out their reading. I don't know what Cappy's going to get, but with Devil here, and so Falling Angel. So with this, oh my God, they don't want me to say something. Oh my God, my throat chakra. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to have to pause and take some water. Okay, so forgive me. I'm seeing spoilers, which is River Song in Doctor Who. Spoilers. So, however, with the Morning Star being featuring prominently in Libra's reading and also being mentioned in your reading, the Morning Star, which of course is the planet Venus normally, was also referred to as Lucifer because of the falling star, right, signifying the falling angel. So there could be something there, some kind of tie-in. So again, just be aware, stay high vibrational. I don't think this is anything to be concerned about, Scorpio. It could just be it could even be something about past lives, right? So perhaps you have some kind of soulmate connection, and I don't say this lightly. It's there's a lot of readers who, like, every reading is going to be like, you're meeting your soulmate, and I'm not going to do that because it's something I take very, very seriously as a Libra. As Libra Venus, right? I'm not going to just throw around terms like that, but there does seem this feeling in this reading where and again, it could even be twin flame. So it could be a soulmate connection that has spanned lifetimes, right? And perhaps in the past lives, it has ended in tragedy. But if you think about it, we have, every time we reincarnate, if you believe in reincarnation, if you don't, just leave it. It's just not your thing, right? So just leave this part of the reading out. For those who believe in reincarnation, if you think that, you know, every time you incarnate on Earth, you know, situations are different. And, you know, you could have had some kind of like Romeo and Juliet situation in the past where perhaps you were from very different families, right? You could be from very different religions. You know, you could have been from warring tribes or anything like this where, you know, it was very, very ill-fated. It was very bad timing. However, in this lifetime where, you know, things can be quite progressive. You know, there's a lot more opportunities to find spaces where you can be authentic, you know, whether this is with the help of the internet or making connections. It could even be in this lifetime, in the modern age, you've met your soulmate in an internet connection. And if it was very, very toxic in a kind of I was talking about Catherine and Wuthering Heights in yesterday's reading in a very kind of like Kathy and Heathcliff kind of way. And of course, this is very generational as well. Actually, talking about Wuthering Heights and my mum being a Scorpio, that was one of her favourite books, movies, songs. She loved it. And she did have a few difficult relationships in her life as well. So the thing in Wuthering Heights is there's like 3 Cathys, 3 Catherines, and I think 2 Heathcliffs and a Hareton, or Heathcliff across 2 generations and a Hareton. So it's funny as well because there was 3 women and 2 men in Libra's card yesterday, and I was kind of really struck by it. So so there's like Kathy 1, Kathy 2, and Catherine, I think. And then the youngest generation, Catherine and Hareton, they get it right. You know, they actually are soulmates and they're childhood friends and they're very sweet and innocent. So although the original, like the first generation and the second generation are extremely stormy, the third generation gets it right. So it could just be something like, and I think they are kept apart, right, for a while. So it could be that the universe kept you apart, right? You could be on opposite sides of the world to each other. You could have met over the internet, but actually the physical difference, the physical separation could have meant that you perhaps got to know each other first, right? Before, you know, having a very tempestuous romance or something like this. So, fingers crossed, if this is the case, this is going to be, you know, the stars are aligning this time, and I do feel like you've got a spiritual team around you, a spiritual safety net who is going to catch you if you forget all those beautiful soul lessons that you've been learning in this lifetime so far. And you've been doing so well with Scorpio. This is a really beautiful reading. Your energy is very, very beautiful, and it's so what I love about it so much. And somebody had, I feel like Virgo had this reading where they were talking about somebody who wasn't doing that healing, right? They were dependent on others. And then Scorpio, you're coming in with this really high vibrational energy of somebody who has done their own healing. You know, somebody who's fought the spiritual battles and fought their, you know, fought for the innocence and purity of their inner child in a very strong way, in a way that is not codependent, and it's coming through very high vibrational and beautiful. So I really, really like it. So I think you're going to be fine. I don't think you have to worry about this. So and you know, your spirit team will catch you, I want to say, if you fall. So I'm going to get you some advice, and I'm going to get you another song on camera. Interesting that they have a similar look to them. Now, what's really funny to me is Libra yesterday, and again, it could be like this kind of soulmate thing, like black and white, yin and yang. Libra had this thing about like the black, like a black crow or a black raven. They have both, and a white raven, right? So and then you're coming through with this kind of like very similar looking insects. So the bee spirit, sweet results await, and scarab beetle spirit, magic works through you. I don't know if somebody has some kind of like Egyptian ancestry or Egyptian, maybe a past life in Egypt where you were a priestess. I don't know, just throwing that out there. If it resonates, take it. If it doesn't, leave it. It's not going to be for everybody. Bee spirit, sweet results await, number 7. I wish all readings could be like this. It really, again, it really appeals to me, being somebody who's kind of a bit of a hopeless romantic, right? I love a good, like, you know, fated soulmate connection, a fated love story, and especially one with a happy ending, like eventually Wuthering Heights gets. You know, it's really satisfying to me. And the reason why I love, even though it's like so painful to watch, like things like Romeo and Juliet, West Side Story, Moulin Rouge, the reason why I love them so much is because they really, they're very, very cathartic to me. They, even though they're painful, they give me such a good cry, right? I really get it out, you know, it's like a purification through the tears, right? So, again, sometimes it can be quite strange to people who are like, why do you like that? Because it's very bittersweet, right? Right. Bee spirit, sweet results await. But this is just sweet, no bitter, right? The bee spirit's message is that sweet rewards are on the way if you are willing to let go of your ego and immerse yourself in the connected energy of all things. Bee spirit knows not to let a sense of being separate, Bee spirit knows not to let a sense of being a separate self get in the way of a good thing. Spirit is always producing honey. Miracles and magic are everywhere. Of course, a bee is part of a hive, right? So this could be talking about collective consciousness. Even though perhaps you were had abandonment problems, had even like neglect, or felt very lonely, especially as a child, you could have actually connected, like I did. I did this as well. Again, part of self-soothing, I think, and having an imagination. Maybe even like, you know, I definitely had imaginary friends and things as a child. And now I have imaginary spirit guides as a grown-up. This is the thing. This is why I question so much when I had my spiritual awakening. Like, I was like, am I going crazy? Am I just kind of like, is this like children's imaginary friends? Am I deceiving myself? Is this my imagination? But then I've had so much confirmation, right? Like so much verifiable evidence that this is real. So now I'm like, oh, were my childhood imaginary friends also real? You know, that kind of thing. So right, anyway, I'm going to keep going. Bee Spirit knows not to let a sense of being a separate self get in the way of a good thing. Spirit is always producing honey. Miracles and magic are everywhere. When you connect with the great hive, you are vibrating and buzzing in an exquisite harmony with all. Bee Spirit asks that you focus, that your focus beyond connectivity. Your body, heart, soul, and psyche experience total interconnectedness and a true integration when you self-forget. When you remember that you are part of something greater, and this unified consciousness. So one love, Libra had one love in their reading. Moving from separation into connection, from self-centered limitations to spirit-centered infinite possibility and potential, you become busy as a bee, enjoying the gifts of bee spirit. Fully in alignment with your highest expression of yourself, your heart opens and creativity rushes through you, seemingly without effort, as you experience that nothing feels like work. Industriousness is driven by enthusiasm and inner motivation, and time seems to fly by quickly as the hive supports you in the making of honey. Do you feel the presence of your helpers in the hidden realms adding their energy to your creation? So whatever you're doing as the high priestess, especially with this, what is your deepest calling here? And magnetism, it feels like when you do what comes naturally, the law of attraction comes into effect, or the law of magnetism. It's like the more you do what you, I'm just thinking how like, my Jupiter placement, I think, is Scorpio, so that talks about expansion, right? Which you have expansion here, right, north. So again, look at your north node. You may be North Node Scorpio. So to have that kind of expansion through spiritual pursuits, you know, if this is your true calling, if this is what comes naturally, then keep doing it, because the law of attraction is naturally coming into effect. It's like you are in alignment with spirit. B wants you to remember that your part in the divine partnership with the conscious universe is being rewarded even if you can't see it yet, and asks that you share your good fortune as there is plenty of honey for all. Be a part of the larger whole, the force that brings forth all that is sweet and delightful. This, you're so aligned, you're so high vibrational. It's really beautiful, Scorpio. I love this because you've had dodgy readings. Sometimes I don't know what I'm getting. It's like Cancer. Sometimes I don't know what I'm in for with water sign readings. It's like, are they going to be having a high vibrational day or a low vibrational day? There's no in between. But it seems like Libra seems a little bit like that, very light and dark. And you seem to just be like in this very smooth sailing energy that's very, very beautiful. Scarab beetle spirit, the magic works through you. In ancient Egypt, the scarab beetle was revered for the creative magic of a scarab beetle spirit. Reminds us that we can bring forth something extraordinary, seemingly out of thin air. When you let your creativity flow through you, scarab beetle reminds you that spirit has given you the gift of infinite potential, expansion, right? You have an ally as you fashion something new or repurpose the old. Somebody else had this thing about ally. It was in the writing on the thumbnail, if you want to go and check that out and see if there's anything in that for you. As you fashion something new or repurpose the old, for spirit co-creates with you, channeling energy through you so that you feel replenished and vitalized as you make magic with what is in hand. Now is a great time for optimism, for you can accomplish anything you desire and your creative endeavors will come to fruition. Miracles, opportunities, abundance, and love will appear seemingly out of nowhere as you allow spirit to work through you and magically manifest what you need. Isn't that lovely? That is such a high vibrational reading. I really, really enjoyed this one. So I'm going to get you a song just to close out the reading. So some kind of confirmation, some kind of light bulb moment, epiphany, clarification, something for Scorpio, please, to round up this reading. What do we have, please, for Scorpio? As I pressed play, I heard make it count. So you've got, hold on a second, let me just scroll back around. Again, this thing about it coming back around. So it's California by Usher and Tiger. Did I say something about tigers? Yay. They done opened Atlanta. I'm sorry, I don't, in my very English voice, this is not good to be reading a rap. They done opened Atlanta. I ain't going out though. Yeah, Usher. It's been a while now. Hope you don't hate me. Again, this thing about it's coming back around, like somebody that you've not seen for a while or something. It's been a while now. I hope you don't hate me. Ain't been on beast mode. I've been in the house down south going crazy. Ain't been dropping pins like I used to. Ain't been on savage like I used to. Not really trying to say it, but I miss you lately. I wish you were on my time. I wish you were by my side. We would be getting lit right now. Sipping DUC right now. Babe, can you forgive me? I'm stuck in the city. But if we weren't locked down right now, we'd be turning up right now. So this could be somebody that you got separated. Your spirit team, like your angels, you know, rejection is God's protection. COVID could have stopped you meeting somebody, right? With like this stuff about lockdown. Because maybe you have both have soul growth to do. We'd be turning up right now. Hey, how they doing it in California? Want to change the scene? Let me come and join you. Stretched out at the Hotel California. Girl, I'm trying to meet. I'm trying to pull up on you. How's the view from California? I'm on my way to come and join you. Stretch out at the Hotel California. If you're trying to see me, yeah. So yeah, someone seems to be turning up. I don't know. I want to say again, be very, very careful to keep your boundaries in place, Scorpio or Libras cross-watching, because if you've been hurt in the past, if this person's, I don't know, if your spirit team blocked this connection or your family blocked this connection because they thought this person was a player, you know, obviously Usher is kind of presenting as a bit of a player, so you know, you need to make sure that this person has done the healing and that you're sure about what you want from this relationship as well. So if this is just a hookup, if this is a one night thing for you and you are genuinely in your heart of heart comfortable with that, then you know that is a choice. For others of you, if you want more, I think you need to stand your ground and tell this person that you want more, because it could be a case as well of like, in this place, when you had those abandonment issues and those abandonment wounds, feeling needy, right? Feeling clingy, where when you get high vibrational, sometimes you can have more independent relationships where it doesn't leave you feeling abandoned because you're sure about what you want and what you're getting before you go into it. So again, be very, very clear about what you want, what you need, and whatever it is, it could be actually very, very it could get you out of this stagnation and out of this stuntedness, and really, maybe it is going to be tantric. I don't know. Go and enjoy yourselves. Take care, and I will see you again soon. Bye, Scorpios. Have fun.